Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm actually going to be doing another tutorial video. I haven't made one of these in ages, and I have not really gone in depth into how I select items for flipping, which ones I do, why I do certain quantities, and just how I find my items overall. It's going to be kind of a relaxed video of me just going and looking at some items that I'm going to flip for one of my other videos, and I'll just show you how I do it. Okay, so to start off here, I'm hopping on GTracker. They're a sponsor of mine, of course. Go check them out if you want. I'm mostly going to be using this tool in the video because it's extremely useful. You don't need it, of course, but it helps out tremendously. So one thing that a lot of people ask me quite frequently is how I select my items. Now, anyone can go onto GTracker and come over here to the highest margin tab and just click on a bunch of items and put them in. However, it's pretty important to actually do a little more research on every item before you actually decide to buy it. So starting here, let's just hop over to the highest margin page. So of course these items will technically make you the most money. However, you should never be investing all your capital into a single item or even a few items. To buy Elijah and Spirit Shields, you really need to have over max cash, and so most people are not going to need that. Same with Ancestral, 85 mil, that's a huge price tag. Like, even though it does have a 500k margin, you're not going to want to do that unless you have billions of gold. So right now on my flipping series, I have around 150 mil. So what I want to do here first up is to go over and filter the items down. We're going to start off here with some highest margin items, then we're going to go over to some high volume items. Those are the tabs I frequent the most. So first up here for 150 mil, maybe I'm going to go down and filter the amount to 5 mil. So now that we have the price down a bit, now all these items you could really afford to buy with 100 mil or even less, but I have 150 mil, which is a solid amount. Now you want to look at what type of flips you want to do. Do you want to do a really slow flip, or do you want to go for something quicker? Right now I have no other filter set on GTracker, so it's going to show me the highest margins, which tend to be very slow flips. Like these, only one quantity bought and sold every hour. It's not a whole lot. So if you're going to want to do something quicker, you want to come back over here to the filters, and then you're going to go to either the buying quantity minimum or the selling quantity minimum. You don't really need to do both, but if you want, you can do both. I'll do 5 and 5 of each, so that'll get rid of all these extremely slow items and pop in some more in-market items. You can see right away we have Rim's armored sets, black DI chaps, Bandos boots, all that, all looks pretty good. So for me currently, I have been tending towards the very slow flips because I'm on a trip right now. I don't actually get to check my offers more than once a day, even once every 2 days is how much I check it. So having slower items is more beneficial, but I'm assuming for the average person, you're probably going to do more flips like this. If you can check your account a couple times a day, or you're playing it and you're just waiting for the stuff to come through, it's going to be worth it for you. So now, Rim's armor set, that looks pretty good. 70k on an item that is heavily traded. 3 mil for a 70k margin is pretty good, but now you have to kind of really do a little bit of critical thinking here. So Rim's armor set, 70k is pretty high for an item like that. Any of the Barrow's armor sets, they're never going to have a massive margin. Occasionally they will, but not all the time. Now I clicked on the item, so I'm going to have a quick look. So first I have a look at the monthly trend. That's pretty important, but it looks fine to me. If it has a steep curve down, you might want to go look at some of the updates or ask a few people what you think is going on. Sometimes items are dropping because either they're brand new and they're just losing value, game update, or a big clan merch, or bots getting banned, or there's a whole bunch of other reasons. If something's rapidly declining or rapidly increasing, it's best to avoid it unless you know the reason. Okay, so next I'm having a look at the weekly value. So it does look like over the week it has been slowly declining a bit. And once you get down to the day graph, there's a few things you want to look for. The best looking graph for me is not exactly this. Let's see if I can zoom in on a certain section here. You're looking for more something like this where it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. There isn't a big curve down. It's just kind of staying at the same margin for an extended period of time. That's going to make it a safer buy. And it also means that it's kind of been proven that probably somebody is buying it for that price and they're getting that margin on it. 3260 as of the last hour or so. If you look at the monthly graph, that's pretty much an all-time low. So I would say buying 10 or 20 of these would be a pretty safe buy. It has a margin on it right now of 70k and has a pretty high chance of it actually just raising up in price naturally. Anytime that you can get a reasonable margin at an all-time low is going to be very good because you're kind of hedging against the item dropping more. You have a much higher chance of it increasing in value and even getting a higher margin than you initially thought over it dropping down to nothing or even you losing money. But now let's have a look at something else. Okay, next up we're looking at the black DI chaps. So we're going to first, of course, look at the monthly graph. Well, that changed a bit. So at the start of the month it was about 1150, now it's up to 1225. It's not too worrisome, that's pretty normal fluctuation in prices. If we look at the week, it's kind of similar to the Rims Armor set we looked at, but if we go down to the day graph, it's actually pretty consistent. You notice that the red and blue dots are referring to buy and sell offers. You can kind of just take these as the same. If they're red and blue lines down here, it doesn't necessarily mean that the items drop down to 1203 and the sell price is even lower. So if we look here at the start of the day, 1200, going across 1201, 1200, and just looking at all the lowest dots, you can see that they're all around 1200. So that kind of proves that there's either somebody buying it for that much, but it's very consistent. And we can see that the sell price fluctuates a bit more, but it's more important for the buy price to remain the same because the sell price will almost always be higher as long as the buy price is consistent. So we can see it's going up to 1260, 1240, so we're looking at about 40k margin, and it looks pretty consistent. So you could go ahead and buy 10 or 20 of those for 20 mil, and you could get almost 1 mil profit, which is quite nice. One other thing we want to look at here is the GE limit, which is 8. So that's a bit of a limiting factor. You'd have to leave this one in all day. Unfortunately, some of the other items have a higher GE limit, but 8 is pretty standard for rare or slower items. But I would definitely do this item. Okay, so next up, I'm going to flip the filter up to 10 million to see a little bit more items. Okay, here I've hopped over to another item, the Malediction Shard 3. Now this is a pretty slow item, but this is a pretty good visualization of the perfect kind of graph you're looking for. Now this happens a lot more on the slower items. However, it does still happen on higher out volume rare items. So you can see here perfectly going across. It's always around the 1100 mark, and up here you can see it's, well, 1300. So that's a 300k margin, which is quite nice. What you're looking for is kind of like a perfect line across the top and line across the bottom is ideal. That just means that you can kind of slip in here, buy your items for a little bit more, and sell them for probably the same price. So here's a few item graphs you really want to look out for. Let's look at the Dragon Sword here. So first up here you can see 70k margin on an item that's less than 700k, so that's 10%. That's extremely good. Too good to be true. Honestly, if anything seems too good to be true, most of the time it's going to not be correct, and you're not going to want to do it. So let's have a look more in depth at the Dragon Sword. Here is the day graph. So 480k is what it was this morning. Now it's popped up to 775k at its highest, 600k now. So right now this is not a good item to go for because more likely than not it's just going to drop right back down to about 450k. It's high risk for sure. If you buy a bunch of these now, they might drop down within hours. The G tracker is not perfect, so you always have to kind of do some critical thinking when you look at items like the skeletal bottoms here. Is it an item that's only 20k really going to have a 70k margin? Probably not. Although with slower items it's more likely, but you still definitely want to go look further than just popping in this item to buy it right away and just leaving them. So now for flipping high volume items, it's a little different for sure, but the way I've been doing it recently is as follows. First up, I'll go over to the high volume tab of G Tracker, click on a few of the top items. Now what you want to look for is the longer term picture. Of course you can do a very quick flip in a lot of these items. You can just go into your client, check the margin quickly, and that'll do that. Hopefully you flip it before the price changes too much. But what I've been doing recently is leaving offers in for a long period of time. Like I'll put in 30,000 dragon stones or like 20,000, 30,000 dragon javelins, do multiple times the GE buying limit, and come back to have the item have increased in price and then make a fairly high profit on even a small margin to begin with. The important part here is to look at the long-term trend of the item, which just over the month usually is fine. What you're looking for is something that's not like this for sure. You're looking for an item that's an all-time low over the month at least, and it's going to hopefully have a little margin on it, maybe 20 or 30 GP. You buy it for the low price, you come back later and it's increased by 200 GP or something like that, and you can sell it for a super high profit. So here's a good example of a high volume flip that would be pretty low risk. You can see the anglerfish has dropped down from 1250 at the start of the month to about 1135, and it has a 30 GP margin, so if you invest now, it has a high chance of just going up in price right after. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and I will see you in the next video.